Told you I was coming back today. See what we got going on today. See what y'all want to talk about. I'm trying to set up everything, so give me a moment. I can get this thing going. Take a little time. Get this thing going. Hope everybody doing good today. We're on this Friday. Trying to get everything all set and good to go. See if I can get it. What's up? What's up? Got to get my question up. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna get everything set up. I gotta get my question lined up. Glad to see that you're here. Let me get my question up. I got a different poll. Okay. Now I'm not gonna do no. I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to do that one now. No, I don't want to do that one. I don't want to do that one now because can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? I got my double speaker on. So okay, cool. I'm double. No, I don't want to touch that one with Hogan because maybe another time. Believe me, I'll have plenty of time to touch that one. That's not a hot story right now. Aside from people that really care, talking about Hogan ain't gonna really make a break. This one got my attention more because of the dap and how everybody was all gooey eyed sitting down together. So I don't really want to touch that one right now. I will maybe the next time. What's up? What's up? How you doing? I want to touch on this one because this one was like, oh, they were all stoic when they all came out there when they were seated, but this one got my attention. The Hogan thing, and also because he's not really relevant. Only to people like us who keep on wrestling and got a history. There's a lot of people that come through that might not even know who he is, and they're not gonna think nothing about a guy that's racist that was a has been, looks like some old beer hall dude that no one has cared about in 20 some years. So I would, but I don't want to do that now. But anyway, what's going on? Let's talk. Let's talk. Actually, Ted, I was thinking about running another poll. I was considering the Marcus Freeman. What'd you think about how he addressed everything at the end? I just put the video out. It's coming out. It's going to be available right now. Notre Dame won, and they asked him, and you know. But I will wait till the next time. He did. I did the video. He did. He was in a no-win situation. You talking about Marcus Freeman? Well, he said it didn't matter if he was black or Asian. It didn't matter. He said just being a coach and being there. He said everything that you expect on TV, but they did go in and ask him. It is a big deal. He's the first black man or Asian man to be coaching for a national title. That's a big thing. And I did my video just now. You'll like my video. I just want I he He said all the political correct things. I said, look, man, look, you should have said, look, yes, I'm honored, but at the same time, why am I honored? They should have been had this done. Why I gotta be the first? I would love to see some brother get up there and do that, but that never happens though. They never have that happening. Everybody wants you to be all dignified and stiff and all stoic, like, Earl, so I'm very honored to be here for this great institution and all that. Like, they did Tim Brown not be a Heisman Trophy? Did they not have, all the stuff they did long as Notre Dame's been around? And just now? Come on now. I'm like, y'all gotta keep it 100. But it's so corporate, it's not even funny. So anyway, he's mild mannered. He definitely believed in that quarterback, though. I tell you, they and I looked at Penn State. I'm like, Coach Franklin, man, you find more ways to lose games. Like, man, you got to win. Please hit them likes. If you're in here, please come on through. I welcome it. Please, 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 like James Brown said. Come on through. I got to send some stuff out because I got. All right, now, let's get to some talking. So we got pretty slow so far. So let's see what we got. I know you cats got something to say. Oh, yeah, he is. He is. There's no doubt. He is. Just like Tiger Woods, but I thought about you. I thought, man, I'm like, how did y'all lose that game? You were up 10-0. All you gotta do, get the field goal. Don't do nothing dumb. And Penn State does something dumb. He might be. I mean, I just asked him because when I was looking at it though. But the impact of it is pretty significant. But it's Notre Dame of all schools too. Somebody said that too. Somebody actually had that in the comment section. Somebody actually put that in the comment section. I didn't want to touch that, but they did. It's something because I don't know how they lose these games. I mean, they be in them and then they lose. And maybe it ain't meant for Coach Franklin to get it. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I like this poll already. Most people are saying they all bought and paid for it. So keep on voting. Let me know what you think about Obama and Trump. All cool, all friendly at the Jimmy Carter service. Let me know what you think. We just starting out. My Nebraska video. What was my Nebraska video? It's been a while, so refresh my memory. Nebraska. Oh yeah, about Turner Gill. Okay, Frazier. Okay, I got now. I got now. Tommy Frazier. Okay, I got now. Because usually I don't think about Nebraska, and I don't even think about Bruce Springsteen. Yeah. He was. People don't realize his win loss record was insane. I spent a lot of time talking about Turner Gill, credible arm, should have been in the field. But Tommy Frazier, man, the win loss record was like, yeah, he was more Vince Young than Vince Young. I mean, he was cold. Just never got the opportunity. Yeah, when I go back on college football than I did and put in totality, I tell it all the time. I don't make it look like it, but I spend some time doing some hard work, doing some research, and also compartmentalizing stuff because it takes time to have entertaining videos, but also to have things that's informative. Well, somebody he did, and he sucked too. He sucked too because Eric Couch, he came to the NFL, and you know who he went to, and they stunk. You know where he went. You know exactly where he went. Sat there in Cleveland and do nothing. I mean, and he got so much love. I mean, they did. They loved him. Hmm. Yep. always the same old agenda. People always, people don't understand, that they push an agenda. Guy coming to the league didn't have that half the totality. And what's up? What's up? What's happening, Charlie B? Glad everybody coming through. Glad everybody coming through. Now we got a live show now. Let's get it. Got a lot to get into. Hit that poll question because I want to know if what you thought about that, what you saw, and hit the likes and everything. He did. He threw bad picks. He got lucky on that interference play because he threw that pass only because dude kind of swiped him on the way back. Was that not an interception? Because that was a bad pass too. I don't know what Coach Franklin's gonna do. I don't know. He gonna pull out all his hair and he ain't got none. They got a big decision to make because they a 10-win team by default, as Ted knows. They can win 9, 10 games with no problem. They just lose those 2 games that that's what hurts them. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like his arm. I like his talent. I like his trajectory. I just think they need another playmaker. Bajib Robinson, I like the running, but they gotta kind of mix it up a little bit. They get a little stagnant. Raheem Morris can do if he allows progressions. As long as he doesn't play college style wishbone, let him air that thing out. I think Phoenix is nice. I think you got something there. And in that sorry account division, yes, that division sucks. So yeah, come on now. You gotta remember something. You were one player two away from beating Tampa Bay to end division. Would I take Steph in Miami? At this stage, for 2 years, but he should retire in Golden State. I don't want to see him leave Golden State. I don't want to see him leave. I think that would be a travesty if he left Golden State. I really do. Because everything's associated with Golden State. How are you gonna let a man go that took y'all to 6 finals and you 4-2 in the finals? And he almost closing on 25,000 points and he's got all those rockets in the shit. You can't do that. You can't do that. It wouldn't even be justifiable. And if he did come over, what we got? We can't win with him at this stage. Okay. That makes sense. It's serious in LA. It's very serious. I did another video about it. All these people are worried about celebrity houses, but people are going through it. It's real. Thoughts and prayers. And global warming, all that stuff is real. It's real. Anything you can do to spread the word and, you know, send thoughts, prayers, anything, because it's real there. Anybody from LA, I'm sending my thoughts and prayers with you. Storms is real. Feels like Book of Revelations. You got the cold on the east and the Midwest and the south, and then you got the storms out west. It's not. It's a very, and people are going through all kinds of things right now. There's no joke. Yeah, that's the sad part too, because I know Billy Crystal lost his house, and I feel sad for say, and JJ Reddick did too, and all that. However, what about the cats, Billy Chris that works, you know, at Walgreens? He got to go through it too. It is very scary times. Very scary. People's priorities got to be in a better place too. So there's a lot going on. A lot going on. So anyway, let's keep talking. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say it like this. I don't want to know. I'm gonna say this. The problem I have is that Sport and Fitness had a good video because what he said in his rant, which check out his channel, much respect. It's like LeBron, Kevin Durant, and others, and they black and they think they above the common man. It's the sense of entitlement. So you act like because you got some money and you living about it, but it's real and it can happen to anybody. Can't take nothing for granted. Can't take people for granted. So stop acting like this is real. Oh, I do believe there's some karma, but I think the karma is coming because I think it's from a spiritual nature. See, I do come from a spiritual perspective with these things. I do believe in Book of Revelation. There's something deep going on. Well, I like him. However, like I said before, everybody's impacted. It makes no difference who you are. I like watching When Harry Met Sally. I like I like some of his movies he's done. Analyze this, analyze that, and all that. But you know, he ain't above where it's like, hey, it can happen to anybody. All right, keep on hitting that like up and everything. Let's see what we working with. Let's see what we got. Well, there's a lot of them that think they're entitled, and then when the reality hits, and everybody's impacted. You know, we had the lockdowns a few years ago. Thank you. That's what I was trying to tell Ted. I wanted something because that imagery, when I got through talking on here and I saw that imagery, I thought, oh, I got to put that up. What did I see? But then it put things in perspective. I look at it like I do wrestling, as I was telling a lot of stuff. Cats talk about what they gonna do, what they're not gonna do, and then they bought and paid for, it and they get out there and they just do. You know, people gotta stop believing in mess. Yeah, well, it's gonna be a good poll because it was a real surprise for some, and I think for some it's like, oh, I'm gonna say it like this: that game can go either way, but don't count Washington out. One thing I didn't learn this season: don't count Washington out because after Kansas City and Detroit's in there, those are three teams that their games are always crazy at the end. Kansas City, Washington, and Detroit got the three craziest endings, bar none. Washington always got something crazy happening at the end of the game, so you can never count them. He's overrated. He's doing pretty good. He's in his best situation, but it only took him like 20 teams to get good. So you know, I am out lying. If he didn't play for your team, you'd call him a dog. Only because he's playing for your team. Yeah, but Mr. Daniels in Washington is something else. I mean, Washington, I'm telling you, got to spank Bo Nixon's behind. Gotta beat him. Gotta beat him. Well, it's just as long as they don't turn the ball over. You know, I think about a year or two, he did pretty good. I said he did pretty good, but remember they barely won the division. I'm not impressed because it wasn't dominant. That division sucked. And Atlanta changed quarterbacks and they still almost won the division. So I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, because he has a good system. But they okay. Better season, does that make him a better quarterback? Does anybody in their right mind gonna say, oh, he could be an MVP caliber? Does anybody really think Tampa Bay has any aspirations to go into a Super Bowl? This feels like trolling. Joe Burrow had a better season than Baker Mayfield. What's your point? Had a better season than Josh Allen did too. What's your point? What you want me to do? It's about time Baker does pretty good. He's had enough practice. I mean, when you didn't play for half the NFL, you almost feels like it. You should be about ready. Hmm. Anyway, 100% saying, yeah, it's a real cool. This poll is getting good. I think I got some. I definitely got some. This poll is definitely going to be an interesting one. They still should win the game. They still should win. Daniels is very poised beyond his years already. I still like Washington to win. I do, and it ain't got nothing to do with me not liking Baker. It's just that I think Washington is something. They are good enough to win a game like that. Not saying that they're a deep team, but they're good enough to win that game. And if they win a game like that, the way Snyder been getting over, they could be dangerous. You can pass. What's your point? Everybody can pass on them. Can you beat them? People move the ball on Washington, but Washington finds a way to win. So we'll see. It may be. I like Daniels. So I think Washington got gonna be a problem another year or two though. I think they got something with this cat. So we'll see. I like how they've been able to come back in games and finish up. So we shall see. Just don't take Bo Nixon light. Don't let him, and don't and if you get on them, you better stay on them. Don't let them start running and chewing the clock. Cause Sean Payton is definitely gonna try to do a lot of play. He gonna definitely do some play action. He gonna try to dink and dunk. Bills got to do a better job against stopping the run, and they can't give Bo Nixon a lot of long drives. Got to keep him off the field. And on offense, you got to utilize running game, smash mouth, chew the clock, keep them and stay away from turnovers. Don't do nothing cute. Just keep it simple. You can beat them. But if you get into a situation with Sean Payton where he can pull out a trick play or something tricky and you keep it close, you're asking for problems. Stay away from the cute stuff. That's pretty easier said than done. But the honesty, you might have to give up one of the two. If Saquon is actually running, Jalen ain't gonna do much. But the thing is that you can't let them get you on them deep routes. That's how they like to get you with AJ Brown. So double spins and cuts, you got to stay away from. Don't turn the ball over and chew on the clock. My upset pick this weekend. It could be Green Bay. They could win. It's gonna be something that no one saw coming. It's gonna be something like that. No one saw it coming. It could be that. I think it could be something no one saw coming. Because it's gonna be one of those situations no one saw coming. It won't be Pittsburgh, I can tell you that. Unless Lamar gets unless something crazy happen. But it's something like a Green Bay, I could so see it. Now for the record, I don't look at Tampa Bay and Washington as an upset. They're not in the playoffs yet, unless you're remote controlled at home. And please don't mention them because that they're not. We don't talk about irrelevant. We don't talk about we couch potato teams. Okay, we don't talk about couches. They sit on the same couch with the Giants and the Jets. It ain't gonna mean nothing. And they still dangling meathead. He still got to wait till the 14th like a soap opera. He got a cliffhanger over the weekend. Nobody care about no Dallas. Please don't talk about them. The stupidity and the ignorance and the dumbness that comes out of Dallas. All he got to do is put that man out of his misery and say, "I don't want you back." Pitiful. I don't know. We're gonna get drafted by the Cowboys. I'm not even thinking about them. I do miss them for getting their butt beat on the first weekend. That I do admit. I I miss seeing Stephen A. Smith crouching on his couch, sniggling, and the cowboy hat and a cigar. I miss that because something don't feel right with them not getting beat. If he win it all, he shuts everybody down. Shuts it down. Because then Lamar is 101. Not much on him. Pressure's on Lamar. It's not on Derrick Henry. How you figure? He's not Saquon Barkley. He just coming in there to support and to add to his legacy. It's not. It's Lamar that's got the pressure. Lamar's the one. He's got to do the totality. He's the one. As far as his cap, he's the only hope you got to halfway be a rival to Patrick Mahomes. If you think about it. Mm-hmm. Sure is. And that's what that's what people got to understand. Every generation era's got that one guy. That's that one person that, no matter what it is, they stand out, and he's the one. Because Mahomes can quit today or tomorrow. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and we can debate him on the high tier, and he's got stats and records. Ain't too many people could say that. Philadelphia is so. Let me ask you this: when you say pressure, right? Lamar's got pressure. To be honest with you, mm, hmm, everybody got pressure on them, but I think the Ravens and the Eagles got the most pressure. I am a Mahomes fan too. As long as he ain't playing against my Bills, I do find myself rooting for him. I mean, I do because I want to see him break records. I am glad to see the totality of him because he's doing things and he makes it look so effortlessly. I love dynasties. I love when you become a villain. That's what the NBA don't have. That's what baseball doesn't have right now. You're becoming a villain. People are getting sick and tired because you win it all the time. But he's making records. And the scary part, he's got an offensive minded coach who understands that. Yeah, they have pressure because it's trying to three-peat. Because everybody's downplayed them. They've been the most disrespected 15-2 team, and people are acting like, oh, you know. And the thing is that you got to enjoy it because it doesn't last forever. It's hard to win. It's hard to win. It's hard to be on top. It's hard to dominate in any sport, any profession. So the fact that he's doing it and they're doing it on a grand level speaks volume. I think Baltimore and Philly got probably the most pressure though to outside KC. Baltimore got the pressure because are y'all gonna ever with Lamar Jackson's records? Are y'all gonna ever get to this point? And Philadelphia, without San Francisco, there is the next most pressured team because they won a ring. They've been a runner up. They've been dancing around the rosies too. They got 1-1, but they didn't done it with what, two different quarterbacks. So their story is kind of Nick Salami. His butt's got a lot of pressure because they stacked. They stacked. So if they don't get deep, mhm. Okay, we've got a good one right here. This Obama Trump. Keep on hitting the likes and smashing up and come on in. Feel free to come through. As long as you're not trolling, you're welcome to come through. It's getting quiet again. Hmm. All right. Everybody went quiet, so what's up? Oh yeah, because I remember, I had to keep up with the game because I do my videos early, and I watched the press con when he got on on the field, and you know, he gave a generic reaction, and they took him over to his family after the game. But I was gonna quote it because it was a big deal. Yeah, I don't remember much of his NFL career though. I mean, look, would you want a coaster? Oh, did you hear the news about the Raiders? Did you hear the news? If you haven't heard the news, give me a one. If you've heard the news, give me a two. It's about Tom Brady. So if you haven't heard it, give me a one. If you have, give me a two pertaining to Brady and the Raiders. Because the NFL is not for long no more. That's what, and they really are doing like hockey now. They are turning over cats left and right. Okay, they saying his Fox contract could be a one and done because he got a 10% minority ownership in the Raiders. He reached out to Belichick. He might get involved with trying to get to the details. So that could be the plan. So you might see him hands on with the Raiders. And then they'll probably find a way to put some more cash so he can have more say. But that's what's going on. So they looking to get somebody. But Belichick ain't gonna come coaching the Raiders. That's an interesting thing that's been developing. Because the Brady thing keeps coming up on my feeder. And I've been seeing it. And I thought, like, Ted, you ought to be up on this stuff. I'm getting all this Brady feeder. I'm like, okay. No, he sure ain't. Kraft saw. Kraft does enough smoke and mirrors. I ain't get him the ownership. Mm-mm. He should though. Belichick ain't gonna take that job. They got too many needs, too many wants. Problem is, what's it? Gershaw, Minshaw's at quarterback. That's the problem right there. He's a third tier quarterback masking up as a first, trying to be a backup. Strike one. Strike two, they get good running backs and they got decent receiver. And that tight end broke the records. That kid broke the records. But they're too inconsistent. They sloppy on defense. They get burnt, and they play what I call. I watched the Raiders play. He ain't going to the Raiders. You need way too much to get him out. Yeah, broke balls is nice, but they play like a quarter, and they go for like 7 points or 10, then they get blowed out, and then they get waxed. They were a strange team because they won a couple of games at the end of the season, and they stunk in between. But Antonio Pierce called him garbage, so that's why I let him go because they were just losing games for fun. So yeah, Brock Balls was nice. If I thought, if I thought um, Herbert was consistent, I could say they could be dangerous. They still could be, but they kind of inconsistent. But Harbaugh got them right where they're supposed to be, and make no mistake about it. Herbert's on the clock eventually because that kind of skill set he's got, he can't be, you know, he got to get better. Herbert should be where Joe Burrows is. He should be. Thank you, Ted. Please hit the like button. If you're in here, please hit the comments. Keep on taking the poll. But that's my thoughts on that. They could be a dangerous team. They should be. It's just that mentally. See if Harbaugh can put that together, and they're real quiet too. Because by and large, when I think about the Chargers, they're about a year or two away. Keep your eye on the AFC West though. But I do like Harbaugh. They're gonna definitely make Herbert accountable. That's why they're in the playoffs. If it wasn't for that, they probably would have won like 6 or 7 games. Because those Staley would have had them losing about 2 or 3 games that they won. Mm-hmm. That's how you know Harbaugh can coach. He just got to tweak Herbert. Impactful? Kareem. Because KD never matched Kareem. Um, the thing is that greatest KD played, he played his. If he stays in Golden State, I probably say KD. Now look, Golden State's not my team. I like Steph a lot, as y'all know, but I don't have no dog in it. But if he stays in Golden State, it's KD and a blowout. And I'm gonna tell you why. They went to 3 straight finals. They did win that game 5 in Toronto, and he looked good. As great as Kawhi Leonard was in Toronto, they not beating him if KD's playing. That's a chance for a three-peat. KD played his best ball in Golden State, just like LeBron played his best ball in Miami. What do you mean underrated skill? You talking about as a coach or as a player? Because you got to specify. Because he's a different coach than he was as a player. But anyway, Jay Will, I'm saying Kareem because Kareem utilized what he got. As a player, I just think that once he understood leadership, he made everybody better. I don't think people really understand the totality of that because people rallied around him. He really did. And he got better over time. That's what I would say. No, you will come on here enough. You know. No, because he didn't play long enough. I did a video about that. It's coming, as a matter of fact. No, because he had to. Because Jerry Sloan's coaching philosophy wouldn't work with Gary Payton. He wouldn't let Gary back down like Gary did. Gary did a lot of one-on-one posts. Stockton never played to the back to the post, so that alone wouldn't have worked. Carmelo was in the it was in the wing in the box. That wouldn't have worked. Oh yeah, you gotta watch that and then get back to me and tell me what you think. I got a lot of videos coming. Someone coming where I touch about a lot of stuff. No, Penny Hardaway plays another 3 or 4 years at a top level. He's a Hall of Famer, but he got hurt and we never got that. So no, unfortunately, I don't think Gary could have played with Carl, which they did in LA, but he didn't fit in with Phil Jackson's triangle. So there you go. Carl Malone fit in great with the triangle. He just was older and got hurt, but he fit in good. Gary didn't fit in good with the triangle. See, it's all systems. It's all systems. No, we already had a discussion. Mm-mm. He didn't totality. And between cats like a guy like Stockton and a guy like Steve Nash, Mark Price didn't do enough. No, I'm still taking Tim and I'm still taking Tim and Dave. Ralph Sampson was talented, but he never really had a position. If he had an outside shot like Victor Wimby, then yeah, I might agree. He was just he had moments, but he had to have the right guard team to make it happen. Duncan and Robinson could make it happen. Hakeem eventually got to that point. His athleticism was freaky, but Ralph's like the weak link there. He was bad in college, hit and miss in the NBA. You can't be hit and miss when you go against Duncan and Robinson because they went to two. They got two chips together, and they were impactful and plenty battle tested. All right, please continue to hit the likes. Mark Price is what I put in the really good category, very good, but not quite a Hall of Famer. Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, could have been scary because if I go back to what he did in Philly when he played his rookie year with Moses, Andrew, Tony, Doc, and Mo, yeah, that running style he had, yeah, could have been scary. That'd have been choose your poison, and that would have been a stretch four. That would have been a stretch, and they could have used him. His style would have been perfect. As a matter of fact, when Detroit took out the dominant center for scoring, and then the Bulls followed, Barkley would have been perfect out west with that right situation. The only thing is that Tim Hardaway got to get off the yo-yo in that rock though, and Mullins got to pass that rock. If they make him centralized with Mitch Richmond, then they could have been dangerous. Because they remember they kept trying to get somebody like that when they messed with C Webb. You know, they tried it. They just didn't like playing no defense. And Don Nelson was always about gimmicks. I think he's 100% correct. How you gonna stop Shaq? That's why I'm saying that's the only prime would have happened. Because you got to have a guy. And see, one of the things about Tim Hardaway senior year, he could cradle and rock that thing and he could break ankles, but sometimes he's caught highballing, shooting deep shots, and taking out of positions. Not saying that's why they lost to the Bulls, but when him and Alonzo by themselves, they didn't have a really third, fourth option. But he yo-yoed a lot out there. So you get a guy like Barkley, you got to put that rock in him. Yeah, I agree with Tyler. Because Shaq alone would have been like the equivalent of three or four guys that Golden State's got. He'd have wore their butt out. He'd have wore their butt out. And that's the reality. Even in that style. Because remember, if they're playing zone and running, that's all he got to do. Okay. Let's get some likes and clicks going. Let's see what we got. It's getting kind of slow again. Let's see what we got. Chase. And I like Jefferson a lot. I like Jefferson a lot. But Chase, I watched him this year with the Bengals, and everything was on point. It's just they just didn't finish. Jefferson is bad, but they keep going through all these quarterbacks, and you just gotta kind of wonder. He's athletic. He can make stuff happen, but Chase and Burrows is ridiculous. Imagine Penny with Kemp. I like Gary and Kemp, but I don't know if it would have quite worked because Shaq was the best thing that Penny could have had. I'm sorry. And Kemp wasn't a high volume scorer like Shaq, so no thanks. I know what you're getting at with it, but the problem is that Kemp didn't. He peaked and primed out a little early. I like Jefferson's athleticism, but have you seen Chase with them passes over the middle and how quick he is and how strong? And think about it. Him and Burrow, Chase is, and I like what he said too. They asked him what he thought about the Triple Crown stats. He said, I care about winning. Jefferson is in a strange predicament because Sam Darnold got all the attention. Chase can go, yeah, and what else they got? And see, that limits Sean Kemp too. Problem when you do Lob City, most of those cats don't have Chase is something else. I like where he played. Now, if you'd have asked me a year or two ago, I would have said Jefferson, but Chase, I like what he do. I like the way he flow. It's close though, because Jefferson is a top tier receiver. They both top, but I like something about Chase. It just happens to hit a little bit different. I think Chase got it. I think he got a chance to, But if they fool around and don't win, and he gets out there on the market, he goes somewhere. You will see what I'm talking about. I'm taking Garrett because he bad and they suck, and and he still carries weight. Think about it. You expect Pittsburgh's defense to come up. You don't expect Cleveland. Garrett is one of the most unrespect under because people in the know how good he is. It's just that Cleveland sucks. That offense is so bad. I like Garrett. I wish Garrett could go somewhere and win too. What's up? He's not gonna get that kind of credit though. That's gonna be Sam Donald though. Sam Donald's the one that would get that credit. You talking? Yeah, Garrett. Garrett, man, look. If Garrett played for Dallas, you'd be sick of him. Okay. I mean, you put him with a team that has a name and a brand, you'd be sick of him already. But because in Cleveland, and you know how good they got it. Jefferson could go off. And for Minnesota, that would be something that they'd have to, because they need, a lot of people got a lot of doubt. See what I mean? Let him play with Dallas, and you be like, if I see Miles Garrett, I'm gonna have to clothesline him. Yeah, and they ain't like Demarcus Ware did his damage with Denver too. I like Garrett. I think I said before. He played because I like how clean his game is. He will pick your lineman. He'll hit around them corners. He don't miss, and he don't play tacky. And he's a he's a strong giant, but he ain't soft, but he's cool. Oh yeah, you ain't gonna bat no eye about him. Heck no. I wish we had him. I be look, when them rare times when I gotta watch a Cleveland Brown games, I'm looking for him. I try not to watch Cleveland Brown games, but when it's on defense, I'm always looking forward to what he do. Yeah, yeah. Whenever I gotta watch a Cleveland Brown game, it ain't the quarterback position. Well, I'm watching that for entertainment purposes, but it's the defense side to see who he what he done did, because he leaves a lasting impression. Yeah, he did. He must have told him you ain't gonna get no quarterback here, and you're gonna get all the touches in the camera. So do what you want. He playing like it too. You ain't got to worry about sharing the spotlight with the quarterback. They done gone through quite a few of them. Yeah, Watt's bad. It's just that with the Steeler players, I always expect greatness on defense. Okay, and I'm not saying Watt ain't bad. I expect that when you play for the Steelers. That's almost like your birthright. But when I say somebody on Cleveland being great, especially on defense too, that's rare. If you understand where I'm coming from, because you don't look at Cleveland and defense in the same sentence. You don't look at anything good in Cleveland NFL football in the good in the same sentence in years. So what Miles Garrett's doing, he was tough, physical. I think we talked about him already because I remember, in Miami and how physical he was. I like Sue. He did a couple suspect things on the field, but he was dominant. He was bad. Big strong cat made an impact. I liked, like I said, he had strong physicality. But yeah, he's been consistent. Well, Seattle let him go, so typical Seattle. So Phil has had suspect things he said, but that was not the case there. Scottie Pippen pouted. I watched the game in real time. He pouted. He got upset. Kukos hit the game winning shot, and his attitude was like I told you before. I'll forgive him almost for that play, even though that was poor sportsmanlike on his part. But Scotty against the Lakers in 2000, he choked. You can sit there and Sporting Page and I are on the same page. Yeah, Fielding said some suspect stuff, and I cringe. But Pippen is Scotty tissue. That's why we used to call him Scotty tissue paper because he's known to be like toilet tissue and fold. He always got something, and he was the one. Now I understand he took it personal. Kukos comes in and gets outpaid more than him and Jordan. Okay, I give you that. But you also signed bad deals. But that wasn't that. That's cause Scotty was tissuing it up, and he always wanted to be the man without being the man. That's another knock. Scotty tissue paper. He's always wanted to be the man without being the man. Let me make if I can make this make sense. He wants all the credit and the acclaim, but he won't take the game winning shot. He wants everybody to say, "Oh, we could do all this with him," but he don't really want to be the one that's the focal point. Make it make sense, Scotty Pippen. Saw you over there in '95 clutching the Jordan shoes on the sideline, come back and crying because your your high top was fading and you just was looking all sad and dejected. Come on, Scottie Pippen. Everybody knew that you were Dean Martin to Michael Jordan's Frank Sinatra or Sammy Davis Jr., that he was the bigger one. Who are you kidding? Stop with the cap cap crunch. If he wins in 2000, he's top 4 or 5 ever. But as it stands today, he's somewhere between 34 and 45 all time. I don't make the rules up. I just state the facts. He wins that series against when Shaq was out, the elements, and against Phil, and he beats Larry Bird and Reggie in the finals. We got him top 4 or 5 for life. But he lost bad, choked it, Nell was the same, 34 to 45. Yeah, I already know about the J.R. Ryder thing. I already know. He said remarks about him. He said Allen Iverson's clothing, it looked like they just got out of prison with the outfits because he's the dress code. He told LeBron about the posse. I didn't heard it all. And I'm not sitting here telling you that Phil, you know, just because he a hippie don't mean that he don't have some middle road, middle kind of mindsets. I'm not gonna sit there and tell you otherwise. Because he comes across like a pretty conservative cat. Yeah, he said stuff. And Chip Kelly didn't last long at all. And he sucked at the NFL level. So there you go. But J.R. Ryder did do a lot of street type of these things kind of go. It's true. You not lying. Everybody that goes against pretty much Phil Jackson is suspect because they don't have the credentials. Not talking about their rings or their stat, but they don't have the ethical vocabulary ethics to go against him. That's the problem because they don't. In totality, they come across like they Gerald Ryder, Scotty. You know, that's the problem. If Ryder had a play like he's supposed to, then we might take him more credible. Because he did give me one of the greatest dunks ever with that East Bay dunk. And he was athletic, but he talked trash and he was half hearted in Portland. And he was half hearted with the Lakers. Yeah, Chip Kelly was pretty much trying to run things. I think I heard about that. People didn't like Phil. People were turned off by Phil. Phil and Jerry West fell out, so you know. And then eventually Jerry Buss ran him out of there. He liked winning rings. He didn't like the style. I know that on good authority. As successful as Phil was, it was some of the most boring basketball to a lot of people, especially for the Lakers. They looked at that thing like it was classical music or soft music at the dentistry. They needed something with some beat to stay awake. That's why Dan Tony got all the love. I kid you not. Oh, you never heard about that? You never heard about that? The Dr. Bus wanted to bring Showtime back. He did not like the slow down way that the triangle was. That wasn't his style. Why you think they went after Dan Tony? Even though Kobe was older and he was on the decline, why you think they made that move? That's why. You never heard that before? And when they're going to bring Doo Brown, uh, the Princeton offense, they he did not like care for that. It is because everything you do is that Shaq runs options. Now Shaq did have that fast break going down, but everything was predicated on pacing it up. Derek Fisher gets a look, drop in, drop out. Oh yeah, my dude was a bad man. And you gotta remember something. That's when they hand checked you, they got physical with you, they threw looks at you, and he could bust your behind deep. He was a bad man. He was bad in Denver too. Watch that game against the Bulls when Jordan was out there trying to get him. He could score. That's when he had the Kimbe and I think McDyess. I forgot. You put him with Denver right now, they coming out the West. As great as Shea playing, he'd be a candidate for MVP. Put him with Jokic right now. Van Exel was good. He was streaky. He was good, but he was streaky. I liked him, but he had to be in the right system, the right flow. But my dude, Isaiah Thomas was giving it to him. His handles were sick. His quickness, He get his shots up. He gets it going. He paces. He pounds you. Yeah, he was good. He was good in college. Nick had some moments. He was good with the Lakers for a moment. He just didn't fit the big picture. And he did pretty good in Dallas. He went to Denver too. I used to keep up with college a lot more back when it counted. Back when cats used to play more than a year. Yeah, he was good in college. He was good in college. Nick the quick. Hit that quick pump. Hit you with that hard fake, and then drain that left on you. So I liked him. You know, but one of those guys that kind of got into that limelight, and then he kind of started believing his press. Oh yeah, UConn, yeah. Oh come on now, you saying something that? Come on now, don't say that now. I am not that deep. I'm like Jerry Spring up in here. I do good, but I ain't that interesting. But I appreciate the compliment, but I ain't that deep. But I appreciate what you're saying, TT. Yeah, Ray was UConn. Yeah, yeah, he could shoot that thing. I remember. Well, I appreciate all the support. I always appreciate people coming through. Yeah, they now you're gonna make me get smart. Dale Harris got out coach. Old old Naked Gun got out coach. Cause Stockton Hornacek would give you fits. He come off those picks and curls. He could shoot that thing. He could float on you, and he was a decent. They struggled because they clogged the middle, but at that time they did struggle. Kobe was light at the time. The style they got out coached. Jerry Sloan out coached everybody, and Dale Harris was not the answer. Rambus, they didn't have no answer for no Jerry Sloan, and Utah could clog the lane with him. Yeah, I remember when he was in college, but I didn't see it like that. I seen him make some shots. I didn't see it like that. No one saw him being that dude. He took the ball down and he was physical. But the problem is that when Phil got there, he trimmed the fat because Nick and Eddie didn't write the cohesiveness didn't quite gel. And then Eldon Campbell was a problem too. It didn't really work. So Eldon didn't really play well with Shaq. That was another problem. Remember when Eldon did get that ring with the Pistons and he came off the bench? That was another problem that I remembered. Because I remembered that run they had. They were always missing what I call systematic basketball. They had four All Stars, but they had really one that was impactful, if that makes sense. So they were missing it. Well, you can be a Kobe fan. Kobe wasn't really there, to be honest with you. It wasn't until, oh, wow, you bringing up a name I ain't heard in a long time. He used to wear the shower cap on his head. Oh, man, I ain't thought about Corliss and like, oh, wow. That's a name I ain't heard in a long time. Um, they were more talented than the Magic teams, because they shot better in Magic. Actually, the Magic team shot better. the Lakers team didn't have no direction. But the where it's correlated is because Shaq was playing raw bone basketball. They were playing what I call when Shaq got filled. That's when he got polished, and then everything. So then it came in. It was Shaq's team in 2000 because they don't win it if Shaq doesn't have that year. Shaq got himself in shape. Shaq mentally positioned himself to take it to another level. They don't win it if he doesn't get in gear. The Lakers had to trim the fat though. That's where they had to let Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel go. That's where the emergence of D Fish eventually coming in, Kobe working out. They was trying different things. So everybody's got a different trajectory of what they remember. I remember what I remember. I remember they were not on the same page until Phil installed that Shaq be the front and center. And then when Kobe eventually he learned a lot from Eddie Jones. The Nick Van Exel thing didn't work. Derek Fisher was a good fit. Rick Fox was a great implement. And of course, Glenn Rice at the time was a good fit. And they benched with Brian Shaw coming off and the way they utilized parts, those things and that. When Shaq became the focal point and they got stopped trying to play cutesy ball, that's when he got it. And so did Ron Harper, too. They did get serious. That part I will definitely agree with. And Shaq became what he became. And that's why you saw 3 years of the most insane dominance of basketball you've seen. And I mean, really, his dominance hasn't really been matched because it meant championships, not just regular season MVPs or, you know, he did, it went to all of that. I'm not even talking about Kobe because Kobe didn't really factor 2000 and 2001 on what he did. Yep. He got robbed out of that. He got robbed of that unanimous, and he could have been the defensive player of the year. He played out his mind. I know all that. I know all that. He had a year to remember. That's the reason why I debate him as one of my top five players ever, and I will always say that because it was you know okay. Well, you cats is going at it. They were a 67 win team. Kobe came up big in game 4 or 5 when he came up when Shaq fouled out, but it was Shaq that was the focal point. But they were playing better team ball. I'm gonna say this. That's why they beat Portland. That team that got swept by Utah and was heartbroken. That was not happening when Shaq became the key, and then they got some structure. That's where structure got them over the hump. They wouldn't have beaten Portland had that been 97, 98 version of the Lakers. They had changed that much in 2 years. Please continue to hit the likes and hit everything. Come on through. I like it when people get fire and get into it. That's cool. You know, my thing is simple though with it. I gotta click on because it's not coming through. I'm a Shaq dude. Shaq's my favorite center, and I think he's top five ever. His dominance speaks for itself, and there's nothing else I'm gonna say about that. I respect the King, and I respect Kobe, and but I will, yeah, that 2000 game seven was wild. No, they did not change rules for COVID. They changed rules because of Shaq. Because everybody knows about the hack of Shaq, 3 second rules, the flop in the act, and the 24 fouls. The two most dominant players to change in the game in the last 30 years were Shaquille O'Neal and Steph Curry in different ways. Games changed. That's a fact. And after Shaq, the center position never been the same. He just didn't really finish up. That was my pet peeve with him. I know how much Shaq dominated. You talking to a residential person who holds Shaq in high regard, which I do. I don't like his pettiness, and I wish the Dwight Howard thing would cease to exist. And I don't like everything that Shaq came out of. But when he was running things, he was as great as anybody ever seen play the game. He was MJ like because those 3 years, the numbers speak for themselves. He's the last three Pete. He controlled the narrative, both sides, and you had to go through him to get to where you wanted to get through. So he was on his, he was in that. He was that dude. You know, he had that rare ability, and people fail to realize. People fail to realize that there was three different teams he had a hand in his style. That's very rare. That's very rare. So, but I don't want to get into no about that too much. That's why I don't like talking about the Lakers too much because when people get into these arguments, we were talking about Utah. Initially, we was talking about I was just talking about certain things, but as long as we healthy, you know. But who was I talking about? Oh yeah, initially the conversation was about Scottie Pippen and that whole thing. That's what this jumped on. Of course, I remember it. What you want to know about it? I was sad too because Miami lost Game 7 at home. D Wade and Shaq were hurt, and Rasheed Wallace played inside out. Yeah, well, you ain't got. I, I'm not. I'm Team Shaq out the two, but at the same time, I'm not gonna get into no revisionist history about either one of it. I if you did, what do you think? So that day, Michael Jackson was found not guilty in the charges. I came back home that day. The Heat were playing Detroit that night in Game 7. And then Rasheed Wallace was showcasing his versatility. And I was so sad because D Wade got hurt after Game 5. Shaq was a little bit numb. But they moved Sheed to the top and to the bottom. And it was just a couple little things that Detroit did that nudged that game. And I was like, because I do believe that he could have gone back to back. Would have played the Spurs, and then they would have played Dallas. Stan Van Gundy would have still had a job, Ted. Mm. For all the Stan Van Gundy lovers out there. But I think Detroit had a better bench though. They didn't help him. They didn't help him. It was Keith. What's his name? Keith Dolan, the guard from Miami. He got outplayed bad. It was a couple bench things that the Pistons did. That's what it was. Larry Brown got in, utilized Keith Dolan because I think that Sheed was the X factor. He was rotating, and that was really he was the difference. And coaching too, because I ain't gonna lie, when Larry Brown was gone, and then we got Flip Saunders the next year, we beat him, and I said, yeah, yeah, And then they made the mistake. They got McDyess. They tried to get more athletic, and that's what kind of hurt him. He did. They won game. They won up because he came up big in Detroit. He was, and Shaq was hurt too. You know, I remember that series because Christian Laettner, when they beat Washington in the second round, he was hanging all on the rim. I'll never forget that. That's why he got let go. That's why Stan Van Gundy went to the witness protection. When he went out like Jimmy Hoffa. I ain't see him for a long time. He sure did. Because Detroit hit you with that bench, and they were hitting you with them wheels. And I think it was Keith Dolan. The Heat didn't have any backup, so that's what happened. Had Eddie Jones too. Just you know, was a little slow footed. They were a better team. I remember. He was better. That's not no hot take. That's a fact. I'm not gonna even argue that because he led the team. He able to figure out against Detroit's style of defense better than Kobe did. Kobe stunk in the finals in '04 against the Pistons. He hauled the ball too much. He dribbled too much. He bumped into Tayshawn and them. They caught him at the top. And it's not a hot take. Not for what I remember, because the '04 finals, he stunk. He didn't pass the ball to Shaq. And a lot of times they say that's why it was, and Kobe was his own worst enemy. Because the truth of the matter, one of the reasons was that Kobe, when people debate how great he is or how they deduct, he had some very stinky attitude, big important games where sometimes he mentally checked out. Oh yeah, Dwayne Wade looked good against Detroit. Kobe couldn't figure them out. Well, he was also at his worst when he didn't have Shaq around too. Because that first year they stunk, and then they had that interim coach who sucked. They ran Rudy T out. It didn't work. He was trying to throw darts into anything he could see, and then they didn't have the cohesiveness, and so it worked against him. He wasn't robbed of it. Because Shaq was more robbed of it in '05 than Kobe was. Don't let 81 points fool you, and they were just a first round casualty team. Meanwhile, Shaq was part of a team that went to the finals and had a better trajectory. Kobe got into the argument, and you can make a case for Dirk Nowitzki if you want to. Shaq got robbed out of three more of them, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. Shaq got robbed out about three to four. Kobe probably got robbed out of two to three. I'm still gonna tell you Shaq was a better player. Any way you want to calculate it, we can do this any way how you want. Shaq got robbed out about three or four. Yeah, because he had the same record as Steve Nash did. Oh 04 05 when they had the same record as Steve Nash. Same record. I didn't forget what Kobe did. And in fact, Nas called him Toby. He was getting dissed on the streets. That's the reason why people were split between the two. I disagree. I thought Dwayne Wade should have gotten the 2010 MVP. D Wade got robbed out of one. You can debate '09, but I think D Wade got robbed out of one. Because D Wade basically had the same season that Steph Curry had. They got the unanimous. Well, I already said that, but you got to remember Kobe was worth more money than D'Lo. That was a bigger case. I already said that. You if that's the case, then explain how Russell Westbrook got it for averaging triple double, and they are first round casualty. We don't. They make it up as they go along. Steve Nash had records, but that same record as Shaq did in Miami the first year. So why have an Eastern Conference, Western Conference? D Wade led the league. You know, they make it up as they go along. He was. They make it up as they go along. Besides, when Kobe did get that MVP in '07, that was a token one. I don't think he was really MVP the year they gave it to him, but they gave him one. They do those things to certain people. They sure ain't. They're not consistent, and especially now, because what's your criteria? Best play on the best team. Hold up, I'll be right back. Hold up. All right, I'm back. See what we got. That's what I said about Kobe's. He did get a lifetime achievement award. He deserves it. They're gonna give it to him this year. Well, he deserves it. They got the best record in the West, so he'll get it this year. But yeah, that's true. No one is telling no stories about Glenn Rice. That's true. He like to shoot that ball. You know, he would. I don't know how much better he would be because you'd have to put him with the right team. He could shoot threes and score, but would he win anything? And who would he play with where he could dominate? That's the problem with him. His scoring would be up, but where would he go? Are you talking about in today's game or are you talking about totality of those two? Yeah, but he was a notorious stat pattern. He played his best ball in LA, but they blew it with the wife though. I like Mashburn's physicality. You could do a lot with him. If you put Mashburn with New Orleans right now, Brandon Ingram's butt would have to go or ride the pine. And he'd probably be better as a backup to Mashburn. Depends on what the guys. When you mention some of these cats, it depends on who they playing with. Depends on what situation they in. Some of these cats, yeah, they could play today, but who would they be with? How would they fit? The structure, the it's a lot. It's more questions. That's the only thing. I like Mash a lot. Yeah, his quickness and his agility, he could definitely be but again, it depends on who he was with. But I told you he played with New Orleans right now, and they could use him. Oh, they could use him right now. CJ McCullum was dead left, dead left shrimp. Dead left was good. 17 points a game. Fitting good with Seattle. Fitting good with Indiana. Middle of the road. Good player. Give you versatility. Middle of the road. Different era. Different era. Gat cat like that today would be starting. You know, today they might expect him to score about 5 or 6 more points. Just kind of like Turgaloo. There were guys back then that were specialists. They don't play basketball like that no more. So if you could shoot inside out and you middle road, I'll give you an example to put deadlift when you ask me about deadlift. Think about Austin Reeves. No, he wouldn't have to be as good as them, but today he get to be a third. He'd be a third up with if Austin Reeves can be considered with with LeBron and AD. That's what deadlift would be today. That's what some of these cats like that would be today. They would be a third wheel and look like a second wheel. Eddie Johnson was quick and athletic, and he would be a problem. He'd be a problem. I don't know about Kukos. He was athletic and he could move, but again, he would depend on who he was with. See, when you mention these guys, you got to put a team and say, could they do it? Kukos played with Chicago. What would he do with Kobe White and Zach Levine and them guys? I don't know. And when he with Philadelphia, even with Iverson and the running gun, I don't know. Yeah, he could score a bit more, but would he be any more effective? I don't. Because to be honest with you, some of these guys that you're mentioning, they'd be in the Cam Johnson situation. And you know Cam Johnson can score. AD, the real AD. Yep. That's the point I keep running into when people ask. I ask him. One of my favorite. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the quickest, but he was like an octopus. Nobody I've ever seen could be at the top of the key and get in the paint and get physical and have more. He had more hands than even Kevin McHale. The things he could do, he could wear you out. He was strong, versatile without being versatile, quick without being quick, and dare you and get to that free throw line. And he always was just a guy who could just get a possession. You just couldn't really stop him. He was a unique style of a player. Can't really put it into words because it wasn't like a great outside shot, but he could post you and get physical. Derek Coleman was one of the biggest waste of talents. Should have been in the argument with Karl Malone and Barkley and Duncan and them, talent wise. Had that sweet left hand shot. In college, if you saw him at Syracuse, you know what I mean. Got to NBA and he got high on the hog. We never got the totality of that guy. That cat should have been. He's one of those woulda, coulda, shouldas. Skill set, you know. Andre Miller. Because Bibby for me was better in Canada. I mean, he was in Vancouver. He had that one great year in Sacramento, and I was more scared of him. I was more scared of Bobby Jackson than I was of Bibby. Andre Miller could weigh you down. It's the way he played his point guard, his styling. He was kind of like a throwback, but I thought you would get more out of him. He just had bad situations because he always played for teams that weren't necessarily that good. That's what hurt him. Bibby didn't really do much for me post Sacramento. Just saying. Bobby Jackson's athleticism. He always, if you were a Laker fan when they played Sacramento, you always kept your eye on Bobby Jack. He always was loose. He came off loose. That's a good point. And that's how Andre Miller could wear you down. If Andre Miller had a coach like Jerry Sloan, you'd say he was like Black Stockton. But minus all that, because he could shoot just a bit, but that kind of cut like that. Bibby did go to shoot more, but the problem with Bibby again, it depends on the system and consistency. And sometimes I like his passing. He looked to shoot more, but then you could kind of take him out. Very athletic. One of those guys that I'll tell you right now, they take him over Bradley Beal right now. Because if you give KJ, uh, Durant, and Booker, he didn't have no stretch players like that when he played. Not like that. Athletic and could go. Andre Grace Heisman. Yes, he did. Better catch and shooter player, Reggie or Miller? Reggie, Reggie who? Hill. Grant Hill. hmm Grant Hill for a prime because he did more than Durant did. He gave you an all around game. If Durant played like Grant Hill, they'd be saying he's in the top 3 or 4 greatest ever. Anybody want to debate, feel free. For me, I always thought Ray Allen was a better version of Reggie Miller. I know that ain't a popular thing to say. That's just my personal opinion. I thought Ray was a better version of Reggie because he could shoot and he was physical and he could rebound and assist. That's just my personal opinion. And I like Reggie. Reggie, as far as catching and getting the quick releases and the oohs and the ahs, gives you the oohs and the ahs. But a guy that would get physical with you, could score with you, run with you, right. But if you like that Hollywood, that quick snapshot, that guy who can hit that instantaneous and get that highlight reel, it's Reggie. So it all depends on what your criteria is. But yeah, yeah, but the problem was he was never a leader like that. The only thing that worked against him, he didn't stand out on the teams. That's all. For me, I'm gonna take Mitch Richmond. I like Page a lot. I like Page because he definitely made himself into something in the course. But Mitch Richmond was bad. Mitch Richmond was one of those cats that if you didn't have cable and you weren't on the West Coast, you missed out how good he was. I think Mitch had the goods. Pager was bad with the catch and shoot, but Mitch was one of those dudes that you know. I mean, I'm glad he got his token ring with the Lakers. Pager got his token with Dallas, so there you go. But Mitch moved me just a little bit more. I liked his game. He was one of those dudes you kind of felt for too, because again, he was playing in Saudi Arabia. He sure was physical dude. The fact when the Lakers got him for that run, he was yeah. That one's tough, and not because of what you think, because being a Wolverine fan, but it's tough because these two dudes underachieve. Um, I'm gonna give a slight edge to C Web because I think Amari had better athleticism, but I thought Webb passing game got a little bit more, and he was a bit more. You know, it's close though. If Amari had a play like he did in '05 against the Spurs with more regularity and become a fashion model when he went to New York and Miami, he tried to style and profile, it would have been a blowout, but he never did. Yeah, Webb liked the way he looked at the floor. He just didn't work on his craft more. That's all. He was, and it's a waste too. Could have been another guy that should have been a runaway all-time great because his hands were sick and his passing was sick. But he was all about, just didn't finish. That's all. But his skill set was there. He had skills and some of the best hands too. All right, please go hit, keep on hitting these likes and hitting this poll question. Good poll. The poll's still going good though. So I just think the way he visualized the floor, that's the biggest underrated I would say. No, if you don't play up to your level, that's a problem. That's a problem. I'm taking Mookie Blake. Like, come on now. Atlanta used to always get to the second round every year. Mookie, like, he'd be smoking joints left and right. I like Muggsy. He was tough. But Mookie Blaylock could play. Mookie just was playing Atlanta because they never had nothing. After Dominique left, come on. Mookie Blaylock was so known that Pearl Jam used to use that name to get on stage. They used to call themselves the Mookie Blaylock. Mookie Blaylock was tough, yo. Over Wimby? Today? Jokic, Giannis, Brown, Tatum, SGA. That's five right there. I probably might take Donovan Mitchell. I take uh, Bryson, New York. That's seven. Tyrone. So Tyrone and Donovan. That's seven. Mm, I take John Moran over him too. That's eight. There's your eight. Yeah, but Tim Hardaway, I like Tim Hardaway, but they didn't have another. Again, it wasn't. They was missing something with that though. Mookie was good for what he did, but they weren't championship dudes. That's the thing. I think that's what hurts cats like that. Hardaway got more love than Mookie got though. No one ever took the Hawks serious though. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, Jay Will. Thank you so much. I always thought that he was lacking. He needed a little bit more girth because I thought he was kind of late in the cakes. I thought he was a cat that had a nice outside shot. He could move his legs. He did pretty good against Shaq, but he was no match for Tim Duncan. So, and sometimes he got caught in between. I think that the whole thing with T Mac and him talking about they're gonna be like Shaq and Kobe, he never got a chance to develop fully. So with Jeff Van Gundy kind of slowed impeded his progress as style wise. So he'd be interesting today if he played today. But I think that not getting a chance to fully utilize what he could have done. Greg Oden was an old man, so how he get hurt? He was already 48 when he came into the league, and he was a defensive specialist. Andrew Bynum was hurt up here. Okay, Bynum was a party man. He didn't have no level of depth of really playing it out, so he hurt himself. So those two, and y'all, it was a physicality. He's one of those guys that he needed more structure. Again, I think the right coaching a little bit more. Kerry Cummins was bad. It's just that no commercialism, no marketing, and he played in situations where there was no TV set up. Everything that doesn't really pertain to the game, sometimes these cats was too black and too scary. Yeah, at the time, but he wasn't seen as a championship center. See, the expectations was that T Mac and them, Ricky Pierce was very tough, physical dude. I don't look at Yao Ming as a what if, because there are guys I would say that before I would say him in all due respect. I thought he was good, but I didn't see him as going to be this next turning point guy. And I think some of it was because, again, it's pacing and in the structure and in the style. But he had some upside to him. Ricky was tough because Ron was more physical. Yao and T Mac were more style and profile. They were like Ric Flairs. They were style and profile. And they weren't trying to get their fingernails dirty. That's how Meta got his rep. He got in them guts. Problem is that they didn't have a Steve franchise or somebody who could tear it up outside enough. They didn't. They were missing a Calvin Murphy type or even the Jalen Green. What they got now, they had somebody who could be nutty on the outside when they had Kenny the Jet and Mary Ellen and those guys, or Vernon Maxwell. They could have been scary. Yeah, but they should have won the series though. And they always was just kind of like missing that thing. Played well enough. Kevin Garnett, your thoughts? Kevin Garnett, right? He was a great player, athletic, strong, but I kind of like he just didn't have Tim Duncan's coldness. and he wasn't quite that dude. Talented, but he needed someone to kind of roll him to complement what he could do. And I think that that's one of the reasons why he gets his bark is louder than his bite. You can't be serious, Jay Will, about no Andrew Bynum. You can't be serious. Look, I saw him talking about getting his zen on, shooting three. He had a nice touch on offense, but his work ethic sucked. And Kobe was saying, "Get his butt out of here." He wasn't the best player in there. They said that to you. He wasn't. And I kind of blame him for the Lakers losing in the finals because it was like air conditioned. The Lakers knew they were going to beat them. He never. Okay, he had that little episode with Shaq when Shaq dunked on him. He dunked back. That's all he did though. But his work ethic sucked. His work ethic, he could have been, because there was a time he was the best offensive center, and Dwight Howard was the best defensive center. But you know what that's like? That's like two parts of nothing that sticks together. That's the problem. His work ethic wasn't as good. If he had Dwight Howard's work ethic, he could been he could have been something. He could have been something. No one talks about his 2012 being great because the Lakers weren't. Kobe was near the end, was about done. Steve Nash didn't fit, and that thing didn't work. He had opportunities. He just didn't apply himself fully, or wherever he was at that time. They still didn't get the most out of him, though. I still remember when he took that ugly Zenin shot and was smirking. And then he made that face when Gasol got bammed on by Blake Griffin. He was a bum in the sense that he didn't. Did you not hear the phone call by Kobe in '07 outside? He said, "Come get this bum out of here." He wanted Jason Kidd. He wanted Bynum gone. He said it. This ain't no makeup. Kobe got on the phone and said, "Get this bum out of here." Yeah, he cussed him out because he wanted to show him how to shoot a sky hook to give him a shot. And he said, "I'm not doing that old stuff. I ain't doing that old man shot." He's a waste. He is a bum. In fact, I'll go on record and say Kwame Brown's career was more fulfilling than Andrew Bynum's, and you can quote me on that. And you want to call that a hot take? That's the take. I'll take Kwame Brown's career over Andrew Bynum's because he could have been something, and he had a good setup. He did. He got on the phone. Look up on the video. Think I'll be making stuff up. Kobe was in the parking lot. And why did Kobe want him out 5 years earlier? Didn't like his work ethic. And where he go, he wasn't dominating. He wasn't dominating. And when they got to Dwight Howard, he sure as heck wasn't talking about him no more. Yeah, Kobe dissed him in the parking lot. They wanted Jason Kidd. They had the chance to make a move, and Byron was part of it. And he basically thought he was just, because he didn't see nothing there. So when we say a guy's like a bum, he's underachieving. He tend to shows lazy tendency. That's what Andrew Bonham showed. I know it must be like some late arrival that people never thought. Where did Andrew Bonham get so great? Only in Laker fandom that I'm hearing people like gush over him. Because I never heard this love affair for Andrew Bynum. That's what he means. I know exactly what. Now I agree with him on that's all 100. No, no, stop right there, Jay. Will. He right on this one because Andrew Bynum underachieved. Did you not see that game when Bynum shot that 3 pointer and it was an air ball and he looked over at field and said, "I'm be zenning," and he shot dead air. And this was it 2010, 2011. He shot an air ball three, and he told Phil, he said, "I'm just getting my zen on." That's the kind of stuff they had to deal with that kid. They had to deal with him. That's what they had to do. That part of it is true. That had nothing to do with making Kobe look good. Bynum was not. See, because the thing is that they were always trying to get another version of Shaq, and Bynum didn't fit the bill. They had a two-four with him and Gasol and Lamar. That's what that was built on. That's how dominant Shaquille O'Neal was. That they had to get a three-headed monster. Because of Kobe's style, he did depend on the low post for his style. They tried the Scotty and Jordan thing with him and Lamar on the outside. It didn't work. That's exactly what I was saying. He could have been better. There's no reason why he couldn't have still been playing up until about 7, 8 years ago. I don't know about all that. Where was he a beast at? In the fridge, at his house, in the kitchen, not on the court. He wasn't. I don't know what. I don't know what. I don't know what that was. What, maybe making roast beef sandwiches? That's funny. To be honest with you, was Bynum much better than Hussein Whiteside? You remember Hussein Whiteside, who played for the Lakers and the Heat, who could actually shoot free throws as a big, but he was half-hearted too. So was he better than Hussein Whiteside? Because basically, him and Bynum are like the same person. Remember, they needed that to fill a void in the middle, and it still wasn't as dumb as it could have been. That's all. I'm gonna agree with Sporting Page on this one about Bynum because I saw it up close. But Whiteside was a 17 and 11 man. He was half hearted too. Could shoot free throws too. Had a nice touch. He just was bummy. He just didn't put the effort in. But him and Bynum are kind of like the same person in a way. Paul did play good defense. Paul Gasol definitely understood fulfilling the role. And Lamar was better when he was the third kick. Yeah, well, when you start talking about 7, 18, 19 points, Whiteside was like, he had a 1 year where he was a 17 and 11 dude. You did. It's okay. He never was, though. I remember the frustration I heard. I heard a lot of frustration coming out of La La Land. They couldn't stand him because he was half hearted. Some people did feel that way about him. You know, most of the people I know that felt the way about him was his family. But he did. I mean, oh yeah, that was a tacky move. Yeah, that's a move I remember. Plus, he's getting his behind tore by JJ Barrera too. Back to the basket. Vin had a nice game, but he wasn't scaring nobody. He had a nice game. Which Vin was a good player and a really good player. Had a nice touch, could definitely, get to the hole and create. But he wasn't scaring nobody. Nobody looked at Vin Baker and go, "Oh my god." He was a good fit. They tried that in Milwaukee with him, Ray, and Big Dog. That's the truth. Yeah, I saw that dunk he did. His weight did carry him down. That's a strong cold fact. He was a good PR man. I told you why he got traded for Sean Kemp. He was good PR, and he was friendly. They had Big Dog, they had him, and they had Ray Allen, and they had Gary Payton, and George Carl was there. And there was some suspect calls in that series when they lost to Philly in '01. But I still remember that one play. I think Big Dog had a wide open. I forgot who was wide open. It was either Big Dog or Vin, and they missed that one shot. But that series went 7 games. He could play. He could score. Um, but he wasn't that next level dude. He was one of those guys for all that kind of because they wanted Philly. Everybody saw that. They had shooters. They were actually what George Karl had in Milwaukee was a precursor. And then you think about it, they got Michael Redd and all that. They had guys who could flat out shoot. Like if you took two or three of those guys today and Doc Rivers had them right now, that's what they would. They could purely shoot, but they were inconsistent. They were considered kind of soft too. Yeah, he was big and a lot of bite, but those some of them guys just didn't really bring them. They were one trick ponies, more finesse. He was on something that series. Iverson played really well that series. Yeah, one of those halftimey cats. There's a lot of that goes on. If they feel like playing up, they do. If they don't, they won't. Yeah, don't talk about Tim Thomas too much. There's a lot of guys back then that, again, if they played today, they were role players, they would be something else. They were what I call in the 15 to 18 middle road range. But Milwaukee had shooters though. They just didn't finish up, that's all. George Karl's styling would have been perfect for today's basketball. He had some teams that could shoot. Well, Stackhouse's attitude, and there was tension between the both of them, so that wasn't gonna work. And I still remember that game against the Bulls when Stackhouse was talking to Yang and Jordan shook him so bad he was like in the third row in the popcorn bucket and got shot on, and it was just it didn't work. Stack was always roughhousing and trying to be thuggy ruggy, and sometimes he thought too much of himself, and he could score, but then he kind of flexed, and that's why where it didn't work. Never just played in the team concept and it worked. Rex was a good complement player who would be strong today. He could score. He had some athleticism. He was a better version of what you got with Austin Reeves. He was a upper version of a Reeves, upper version of some guys you see today. Thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, but his mindset, he always was trying to play all physical and stuff, and he didn't play within the concept, and that's what kind of derailed him. He always trying to flex. Because Iverson made the statement, I never had a teammate like that. So that's a fact. He got excited. To tell you how bad Iverson had it, he got excited when Chris Webber was like 62 coming to the team and past his peak. He got excited about that. So I should tell you about what he thought about Stackhouse. I should tell you what he thought about Derek Coleman too. I'm just keeping it 100. It's out the man's mouth. It's not out my mouth. It's what Iverson said. It didn't really work out that good there. But you think what you want. Yeah, Rex Chapman would be today. His legs were shot, his body was shot. It's kind of like seeing a guy who's been in the witness protection program for 20 years and you tell him he's free, and he's sitting there looking in a freeze at the world because his cell phone's in one hand and DoorDash is coming to the right, and he don't know what it means. He could still operate in there, but it's foreign to him. And he was done. He did. He scored, but they were stat padding. Just like Sharif Abdul Rahim. There's a lot of guys, even though Sharif didn't score that kind of point. But it wasn't in a totality that meant your team was going to win anything. He went from the Sixers with AI to playing with the Wizards with Michael Jordan. Let that sink in. That should tell you how much he fell off. Yeah, but it wasn't an effective 20 and 10. It wasn't effective. And by that time, another AI was more important in Philly, and his name was Andre Iguodala. It's true. Well, he was never in his prime, Kukos. Kukos was a good player who was versatile. He never was that dude in the NBA. Weber was versatile enough to get points. Kukoc was a never was. Not like that. Not like that. Very athletic, freaky, and the kind of dude that had kind of like on the Kemp tip, you know, but sometimes he played into the cameras and he just never quite delivered. And I thought it was a bad move when the Pistons got him because I didn't think he really fit. They tried to get athletic and it didn't work. Yeah. Well, that was not a good starting team because Weber was shot. Iggy was trying to come in behind AI, and Carl Cover was a specialist, which means you're not really playing no defense. You're a specialist. And they were being exposed. And they were past Larry Brown at that stage, so that was a wrap. McDyess was a physical cat who was very athletic. There's a lot of cats like that who had that. But his game, he could be good and he could be spotty. They did that for window dressing. They knew good and well Chris Webber wasn't going to do nothing. He had been wanting help for years, and they said, "We'll give you a name." And by the time they got C Webb, he was a shell of himself. If you ain't a threat in the East, you was shot. They were not in an argument with Detroit. They were not in the argument with Miami, and they were not in the argument with the Nets. Those were better teams than the Sixers were at that stage. And don't forget the Celtics, even though Pierce was dangling, they got better too the next couple of years. So, yeah. And if you're not winning, you are stat padding. Because 20 and 10 means different things for different situations. Sometimes 20 and 10 means that that's great, and sometimes it's just stat padding. That means that you just a dude that's somebody got to score. He had no choice because his body had kind of broken down on, and he really did go out in Denver, you know. But think about it, that was a way better fit. That was a better fit. All right, I'm still on, so let me know you can still hear me. Let me know if you can still hear me though, because I had the thing just went through. He did. I like C Web a lot. It's always tough for me with C Web because I like C Web. He was a good point guard. He was a good point guard. He wasn't great. He got the assist. He was slow. He had a little bit of a shot. You could kind of neutralize him, but he could get you Mark Jackson's talents. He could get you into a half court game. He knew how to manipulate his body enough to move you. You know, cooking him. But what does that mean? It didn't matter in the big picture. What did it mean? It didn't matter in the big picture. Weber didn't have the half of what he had as a promised, and he wasted a lot of years. Mark Jackson was good, and of course with the assists and stuff, but he was, you know. He's one of those guys that he kind of like an old man's point guard. He could put you to sleep. He put that back on you. He back you in. You know. Now, when the Bulls put Scottie Pippen on him on defense, that changed the series because he couldn't see over Scottie, and then of course the way he dribbled, so they had to use a lot of screens to get Mark up. And I think Mark Jackson's style, that's kind of one of the things. Again, the lack of speed kind of worked against him. But he was good when he, for what he did. But he ain't gonna never get in an argument amongst the best of the center guards. But he didn't have to fit into all that. All he had to do was just stay in his lane. He stayed in his lane. He was a specialist, and he did it better than anybody else. That's a fact. He did his role better than anybody else. He didn't have to go after Karl Malone and KG and Tim Duncan and Bill and Rasheed Wallace and Webb and Dirk because he was a freestyle free safety. He was put in position where all he had to do was swirl, curl, make some shots, get a couple rebounds, maybe get a steal, get a couple assists. That's all he had to do. He was. He came up big. He did his role. That again, that's a lost art. It's hard to even have conversations about cats that were role players. We didn't spend most of the time in this chat talking about role players, and it's tough because it was a different era. Vladi was a good actor because he could flop with the best of them. He could pass the ball, and he was a serviceable backup center. Serviceable, good actor though, and he definitely kept himself conditioned with the Lakers in Sacramento. You know, but we don't sit around talking about Vladi. Vladi's more known for the flopping and acting, and he was mobile. He did serviceable. He was very serviceable. He'd be a problem today. I think the thing that I liked about Vladi best is he could pass that rock. Or he came up when he had to come up. He came up when he had to come up. Strong. Very rare kind of player I ever saw. The way he ran. Um, yeah, Ori was like Ori. If you were gonna say clutch in the finals, he's gonna be there with almost anybody you can mention. That's why he kept gigs. He was pretty good, but he was not. It's. I'm gonna say it like this, and it's not fair to him, but it's just that coming behind anybody that was legendary, especially like that, he was just, you know, he was kind of homogenized. He was all right. His size could be a problem, but he was the kind of dude that was middle of the road. But I told you, his hand-eye coordination and to get rid of that rock, he could definitely pass that ball. That's the best thing I could say about old floppy Devo, because I call him floppy. That's how I remember him. If I'm honest, more of floppy. Floppy Divock is what we used to call him, old floppy disk, because he was a known flopper. Even Byron Scott, when he played the Lakers, he said he didn't learn them. He learned how to act in Hollywood. That's what he said. Byron Scott said that. That's what he did, and he was, credible for what Sacramento was doing. I mean, yeah, he's one of those kind of guys. In that era, he fit. It wasn't much asked. It wasn't much asked of your center. Because if you could score 10 to 12 points, get rebounds, a couple of blocks, and still, you know, just don't do nothing stupid and get exposed, he was all right. He was athletic enough. But yeah, Anthony Mason Ted was quick, strong, unorthodox. No one dribbled like him or shot like him. He got stuff done. Yeah, I guess you could say he helped usher it in. That's all he ever did against Shaq. he did enough. He knew how to, keep himself visible. He came around in an era where you could, that was the start of it. He had an unorthodox running motion, the way he shot, but he made it work, and he had handles too. It was crazy too, because you look at him and you're like, how's this octopus dribbling like that? And he would. I'm taking the '90s Jazz because Stockton was smarter than anything they had at point guard for my money. Carl Malone was going to be a problem in the glass, and I just think that they. It's interesting if Pager and Hornacek cancel each other out. It's interesting if the benches of Sacramento's bench comes alive, especially if Scott Pollard and Bobby Jackson, if you can get that. But I just think that Rick Alderman's style of coaching sometimes left a little bit to be desired. I think Jerry Sloan was a better X's and O's coach, and I think he would have figured out how to slow Sacramento down because that's what the Lakers did. Got them out when they made them play half court basketball. I can't see them beating Utah. They were more athletic than Utah. That's what makes it interesting. They were more athletic, but Utah was more physical. And if Lottie can't take advantage of Ostertag and Foster, then Utah's gonna win that thing in about 5 or 6 games. And Doug Christie was tough. Yes, he was. That's a good question, though. It was Rick Fox. Stop, stop. Back when Rick Fox was swinging that hair, that preseason game was hilarious. Me and my boy was cracking up. Yeah, and Shaq slapped them both out, taste out of both their mouths. They was soft. Ostertag got slapped, and he never was the same. And Foster, we used to call him Foster Monster. The problem with those cats, and this is where Jerry Sloan lost the chip, not getting Ronnie Cycli. Ronnie Cycli refused to go to Utah because it was out there in the bushes. He didn't want no parts of that. Mm-hmm. Before he left Vanessa stranded in the tunnel too. So that's what hurt Utah not having that center, and they were very robotic. That's why when they got that game where the Bulls beat them by 50, they were very robotic, methodical team. They couldn't do anything off sketch. He was a good enough center who was athletic, threw a body, hit some boards. A workman like center, but he would have been perfect for Utah. All he had to do was score about 10, 12 points a game and get about 5 or 6 boards and maybe a block and a steal. That's all they needed. I think they could have gotten him, it would have been enough to win. Because that's all they needed was a workman like. They did workman like. But see, the problem is that Foster and Ostertag combined were not the half of Ronnie Cycli. And I'm not gonna get up here and boast and brag that Ronnie Cycli was some high second tier center, but compared to Ostertag and Foster, yeah, Ronnie Cycli looked like Jack Sigma, and them two turkeys were like, who would I pick on? I gotta pick on somebody that was a known screw. They were kind of like Joel Anthony used to play for Miami. No, he told him no because he was in South Beach. I remember it in '98 because well, that's back in the day. We used to watch David Aldridge and all of what was going on in the NBA, and that was the big buzz. And they wanted him bad. He said, "I'm not leaving South Beach." That's when I knew they weren't gonna win because they never had a center that could score. I mean, they manipulated Ostertag and they manipulated Foster, but they weren't no Ronnie Cycli. Ronnie didn't want to go to Utah. Ronnie was like, "Look, I'm not gonna go out there and party boy. He ain't going out there. Got to be in bed by 10:03." that's what happened with that. And I understand because location meant everything. And David Stern's like, I'm not going to Utah, give you no ring. So, all right, come on now, please hit some more. We got some more people in. It was pretty lively tonight. He needs two more. Two more. Not one more, but two. And he'd have to win three, and he'd have to win another league MVP and two Finals MVPs before I would say near Tim Duncan. That'd take some work. Do I have him? I'll say this: he's neck and neck. I'll say he's not that far from Barkley and Karl Malone, but he needs to do a little bit more work though. He needs a little bit more work. He got a chance though if he can win two more rings and two more league MVP, another league MVP. He got a chance because right now he could shock the world if he was to pull it out, especially since no one is looking at Milwaukee as a serious threat. He needs three, and then I would say two. He need three. I like him, but the problem is that he'd have to dominate, and see that's the problem that he don't quite do. And again, it's not just his awards; it's his impact with the scoring and the whole nine. I don't see it happening though. Boston figured out how to put a wall up against him. Some people will look at Charles Barkley as better. Some will look at Karl Malone better. I mean, you can make cases that those guys have got an edge over him. You can make a case. Some do. Some got Charles as a top 20 player ever. Some got Karl Malone high on their list. So it all depends on how you with your criteria. And I see what you're trying to do because you figure if I can inch him up second that he's close to Duncan. And no, he'll never be the half of Tim Duncan. Unless, of course, he wins like four finals and four finals MVPs and four league MVPs, then I might entertain it. Other than that, he will never be the half of Tim Duncan to me. Not even close. Because for one, I don't like Giannis's consistent lack of work ethic. He works hard and he's made himself into a great player. But you run all these coaches out. You stuck with Damian, who's suspect. Middleton's getting benched. You lost Drew Holiday. Um, I have a lot of question marks. He could be, but he got to put in some real work though. Besides, if he can win like that, he should want to be considered one of the 12 greatest players ever. Okay. You can make a strong case for Dirk. He did change the course of basketball in his own way. He got the two finals and he led a less talented team. And he didn't play with another top 50 or 75 player. Well, you could say kid after, but when Dirk was playing, Dirk was, you know, Dirk was the dude. Could make a case for Dirk. I hold Dirk in high regards because of the era he played in and what he overcame. And like I said, I remember when he got traded for Robert Tractor Trailer, and that was a big deal at the time. guys coming from overseas getting traded for a guy who like was gonna be a commodity. You know, Dwayne Wade earned his free throws though. They fouled him. Besides, how you gonna hate when you were up 2 games to nothing and you're in Miami and you had to leave with a minute plus to go and you miss two free throws and Shaq makes two free throws? Make it make sense. So he makes at least one of those free throws, they probably win the series in four. He missed both. Shaq makes two. Wade took over. Rest is history. And you can't blame it when you had a chance and you didn't finish it. But I still like Dirk a lot. I still think Dirk's tough dude. Okay, that's hurt for somebody. Feel like people kind of easing up out of here now. Let's see. I don't hear nobody coming through. I just answered that question about Dirk and D Wade, so I might come back tomorrow. We'll see. Definitely on Sunday. Guess everybody's gone now, so I'm gonna kick it in a couple of minutes if I'm not here anymore. If I'm giving a last call. Anybody got anything else they want to say? Poll did do pretty good though. The Chargers should win, but this is where the Texans got something to prove. Because C.J. Stroud is already looking like he a fluky rookie, but the Chargers should win. Oh, what's up? What you doing? Hey, don't go. I'm still on here. What's up? You want me to call you on my I'll call you up on the cell itself. If you're up right now, I'll call you when I get off this live. You want to talk? Let me know if you want to talk. I'll call you up after I get up out of here. Chargers should win. Texans look very vulnerable. But if CJ Stroud and them pull it out, and I don't know. It's one of those kind of games that it could go either way. I'm gonna call you in a couple minutes because I'm almost out of here. I could do a live stream. I'd have to probably put it on Instagram. I should do it. We better beat Denver. That's all I know. Yeah, I'm gonna call you. Give me a couple minutes. I'll call you because I'm almost out of this one. So be prepared. Be ready. Since you up, I will call you. Like I said before, they can't let Bo Nixon do nothing. That's the only thing. And you stay close with Sean Payton. You better beat him. This is all I've been waiting for because I don't want to be talking about the regular season no more. So this is gonna be put up or shut up. So anyway, that's what's up. All right. So if I don't see nobody else coming through, then I'm about to go get up out of here. Appreciate everybody that came through. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay well, stay cool. I will be coming through here tomorrow, probably, or Sunday. So one of the two. But anyway, thanks for everybody that came through. Appreciate the donations. I'm out one time, peace.